Today is, what's today? August the 5th at 11:11 p.m. Guess I got my wish. I just got off work and also just got the last two masters back for the album. And I also just finished uploading the album. And the album comes out on Sunday. It's 11/11 and the album comes out on August the 11th. That's cool. Feels good to be able to say that. I think I started working on this album. I think it was 2022. I think. When I started the album, I didn't know that it was gonna be an album. Like when I wrote the rodeo, I was in a very, let's say peculiar. I was in a peculiar situation. I was in a crazy place, you know. And I knew, like, after listening to it back, I was like, yeah. Because before that, I hadn't written or wrote music like that for months. Like, months. Which is unheard of for me, you know. I just wasn't feeling it, you know. I wasn't in a place where I wanted to write something that was going to come out in a way that it would be productive or helpful in any way, shape, or form. If I were to have written something during that time, it wouldn't have been no good for me, you know. It wouldn't have done nothing for me. So I chose to hold on to, you know, a lot of what I was dealing with because I was still in the midst. You know, I didn't know which way was up. I didn't know how everything was gonna pan out. You know, so I was like, man, let's not go there. Let's not open up the wounds. You know, because you know you're still bleeding. You know, let's let it scar first. And then we can focus on healing it, you know. Then we can pull out the Neosporin, you know. But, yeah, I wrote the rodeo, and then I don't even know what song came after that, to be honest. It just kept flowing, like, well, nah, I can't even say that, because it wasn't like I wrote that song and then it was like boom, 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 boom. Because I didn't have time like that to myself, you know. It was like I was not sneaking songs, but like I was sneaking songs. Like anytime I had to myself, like, you know, I was like, I would do little pieces, you know, little bits and pieces. I would write a little something in my notes, or I'll make a little voice memo and be like, all right, I'm gonna get back to that, you know. And then when I would have the time, I would piece it all together, you know, like a puzzle. And, yeah, I'd probably say I didn't really get in the album mode for real until last year, like late last year. You know, I came home from Idaho in October. I came home on Halloween of 2023, you know, and since then, I was on it, man. I was on it, I swear. But the thing was crazy is, like, I was happy to be home. It was very different than the last time that I came home, because when I came home before, it's funny how the album panned out, because I do remember writing Soprano. And when I wrote Soprano, I wasn't great, man. I wasn't great. I definitely wasn't great, you know, but I knew that I had something to say. I knew I had something I had to get off my chest. And that's, where Soprano came in. And I remember listening to that song multiple times and just like shedding tears, and yeah, it's weird. Soprano was one of the first songs that I wrote, but it ended up being the last song on the album. I just think life is funny like that, But yeah, when I came back for the second time in October of last year, that's when everything really kicked off. That's when I was like, yeah, man, like this song. And it was just like, boom, it was song after song after song after song. And I just remember being like, this is great, creatively speaking, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel great creatively speaking. And I was in a better place mentally too, but then in the back of my mind, I was like, what I'm gonna do? Like, how is this all gonna pan out? Because I can't drop, I can't drop like that, The album ended up being, Wabi-Sabi is gonna end up being 20 tracks, right? It's really 18 songs with 2 skits, if you will. I mean, an intro and a skit, or a voice memo, or really a voice message from my cousin. And yeah, because that's the funny thing about it is like I've got like 25 other songs, so going through the process of trying to decide, okay, what song do I want to put on here, like, it was difficult, but it wasn't difficult because I knew what I wanted to tell, and all I wanted to tell was the truth. I wanted to tell my story, so I ordered the songs in a way. They may not be ordered in a way, like I said, I wrote Soprano before, but they may not be ordered in a way where like this song came and then this song was the next one and then this one I wrote after that, blah, blah. It ain't like that, but it's structured in a way where the story makes sense. You can follow the story and tell where I was versus where I am. And I just think that that's really what I was trying to accomplish whenever it came to the structure of the album. I didn't have anything, when I was writing the songs, it wasn't like, all right, man, I gotta like do this and I gotta do that. And no, it wasn't like that. I was just pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring. And it's crazy. Like once you get all the, the pain out, you're left with more than just, you realize you got more than just pain. I used to feel empty, for a long time, but, I don't feel empty no more. I realized that I have value and that, I'm important. Not any important than anybody else, any more important than anybody else, but I have value, you know what I'm saying? We all have an intrinsic value. And it took me to go through everything that I've gone through in the last 3 to 4 years for me to really see that, And it's crazy because I've had plenty of wake-up calls. I've had plenty of times in my life over the last couple of years that I could have been like, hey, bro, like, tighten up, bro. Like, I had plenty of them. But I was blinded by, my own, thoughts and my own preconceived notions and like, all this, that, and the third. But it's crazy how life, things kind of work out a certain way. I feel like, excuse me. I feel like in hindsight, this is the only way it could have panned out. It only could have went this way, I wasn't ready for it before. I wasn't ready to really like make that change, make that leap. I wasn't really ready for what this feels like, and it's a gradual process. It is just that, it's a process. It's not something that you can just like and be done. I wish it was that simple. But if it was, then, easy come, easy go. I would have been right back in the same position, if not worse. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I had to go through it. I had to go through them nights. I had to go through them moments, and question and really ponder and think about like, damn, bro, is this really what you want out of your life? I had to go through that to get here, now where I'm at now, where I'm standing and where I'm in my position and stuff, it's crazy because I'm in a position now where I'm making more money. You know, I got like, my life is in a position where, you know, I know what I got to do, you know, to get right and to get back to where I want to be, you know, and it's like, I wouldn't trade it for nothing, you know, I really wouldn't trade it for nothing, you know, and it's like, I've got people in my corner that I know got my back, and I got their back, and people that have helped me to get to this point. You know, I didn't do this alone. I couldn't have done this alone. It would have been impossible, you know. I feel like I don't know, man. It's weird because the music isn't something. I'll make a song. I'll make a song, and during the creation process, like when all the pieces are coming together, there's pure excitement, there's pure joy, you know. And then once the song's all done and I get to hear the demo and shit, it's like, bro, like, yo, you know, that's those moments are priceless. But everything else that comes from a song, like, you know, now I get to share my words, I get to share my experience, I get to share my thoughts with the world. It's cool, you know, like, it's cool. But I've gotten what I needed out of it, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, the music is a tool, you know, it's a tool that I use to be able to process and kind of get a sense of, you know, the way that I feel, you know. It's soul therapy for me. It really is. And so I've gotten my healing out of it, so to speak, you know. So now it's like I get to put it out into the world and really just kind of like show everybody and those who, you know, want to lend an ear, you know, like, yo, this is where I was, this is where I'm at now, you know. And yeah, it's just another chapter in the story, you know. It's another chapter in my story. And I know that I'm far from finished, you know. I got way more to say. I got plenty of other songs, you know. Like I said, like 25 other songs that didn't make the cut, not counting, you know, all the other music that I have that I just haven't put out. And excuse me. I feel like I got a complete body of work. I feel like this project is exactly what it needs to be. You know, there was a point where I was like, damn, bro, like, there's so many other people I wish I could have, you know, had the pleasure of working with. It's artists that I met after I finished recording the album that I was like, damn, bro, like, it would have been fun to get a verse, you know what I'm saying? But it's all in due time. You know, my thing is, I've always had it's funny because I'm a patient person, but I've always had an issue with not having patience with myself. You know, I'm always trying to rush myself to do something or finish something. You know, I never really take the time to smell the roses in my own endeavors. And I ain't gonna lie, this album has humbled me. It's humbled the fuck out of me because I've been frustrated with it. You know, as T, he'll tell you, I've been frustrated with it, man. I've been ready to just be like, bro, fuck it, bro. Like, just drop the shit how it is and just whatever later, you know? And I'm glad I never did. You know, I'm glad that there was setbacks. I'm glad I had to go through and make changes and, you know, this, that, and the third. Because it needed to come out this way. It needed to come out, you know, in not just a rush, in the sense of, all right, I finally got the last song, I'm dropping tomorrow. Like, it didn't need to be like that, you know. I've got, like I said, I uploaded it today, and I've got until, you know, I got until Sunday to go through and make sure everything's right. You know, if anything's wrong, I could always, like, change it, you know what I'm saying? I can still, you know, double check the lyrics, make sure the lyrics is right, make sure everybody's getting the credit that they deserve. all that good stuff. And it gives me time to kind of come up with some kind of like little, marketing or something, to kind of be like, all right, like here's the album, So it works out. It works out the way it works out, And I feel like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel at peace with it. I really do. I do feel at peace with it. I don't have any regrets. The only regret I have is that my cousin, I couldn't get a verse from my cousin, and that I won't be able to call him and text him and be like, hey, bro, like, it's dropped. And he'd be like, all right, bro, I'm about to listen to it, I cherish the moments. I remember that when I dropped my first album. I remember him calling me and be like, damn, bro, like, you done came a long way from when we was rapping in your mama's basement, bro. Like, when we was, when we was B&W Productions, like, it's crazy, And that's really what did it for me, That was like, this guy knows me. I grew up with this dude. This is my family. And for him to see where I was versus where I am, or where I was at that time, it meant the world, And also, like I said, I was able to get him on my first album too. Like, I'll never be able to, top that, And then Disillusions was the precursor, you know what I'm saying? Like, this album is like, I don't know, it's like they go hand in hand. It's crazy because there's so many references to my first album in this project, and even tonally speaking, and even structure-wise, because the way I describe Disillusions, like the structure of it, it starts out very braggadocious, Solar Flare, which is an obvious Dragon Ball Z Krillin reference, but when I made Solar Flare, my intention wasn't for it to be that guy, you know what I'm saying? And that was where the writing and the lyrics came from. That was what they were trying to encompass. And I feel like I succeeded, putting my best foot forward, so to speak. And then as you listen to the album and it goes on and on and on, it gets more and more like, in depth, and more gets revealed. And then by the end of it, the last song, Stumped, I'm completely vulnerable. Like, I'm completely, I've put everything out there. There's nothing left to hide, so to speak. And it's crazy. Disillusions ends in a sad place, so to speak. And when I made the album, it wasn't intentional. Like, I wasn't like, yeah, I wanna leave it, in a place that, gives you something to hang on. It wasn't that. It's just, that's just how I was feeling at the time. Like, when I made Disillusions, I wasn't in a good place. I wasn't. And it's crazy. The only the only project I've dropped where I was in a good place is From Here to Eternity. And that is funny because I was in a good place, but I was riding a high, so to speak. And Waves was me kind of like still riding a high, but also still had that aspect in it of just like, that this is, Waves was almost like watching a train wreck, in slow motion. It was like, you can't look away, and something's coming, something's gonna happen. And the funny thing is Wabi-Sabi is that train wreck, but you don't get, it's more about the aftermath and the survival of the train wreck rather than the actual train wreck, So that's what I think is interesting. It's not so much like I made these songs like post, accident, so to speak. It wasn't during, because I wasn't allowing myself to go to that place when I was going through these things. A lot of it is in hindsight and in retrospect and stuff like that, which I think is better because I've done a lot of like in the moment songs. Like when I wrote Feeling Red, Seeing Blue, oh my bad, thinking of the rodeo. But when I wrote Feeling Red, White, and Blue, I think that's what it's called. It's crazy. Like, it's my music, and I wrote it, and I can barely even tell you, titles and stuff like that. I barely even be remembering my own lyrics. But yeah, when I wrote Feeling Red, White, and Blue, that was me in the accident. That was during the accident, so to speak. And I have a lot of songs that are like that, but I didn't feel like I needed to go to that well again with this project. I mean, like I said, there are moments on this project where you get that, you get those like in the moment feelings and stuff like that, but it's more about the aftermath, and it's more about the, hey bro, like, yeah, this is not great, but it could be worse, so chin up, that's kind of like where I was coming from with this one, because Disillusions was very like, witness, bear witness, and this project is less of that and more of just like, nah bro, like it's gonna be all right, it's gonna work out. And I like that. It really brings me joy and like, I don't know another word for it, but it makes me feel good knowing that I can weather the storm. And it took a very long time, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing is like, I remember writing, No Tempest with Christian, in his pop studio, and I remember how I was feeling when I wrote that song, and I remember what I was trying to, express, and it's just wild how long it's taken me to get to this point, and I'm not saying I'm perfect and I'm complete, so to speak, but I am way better mindset wise than I have been over the last decade, because I'm 28 now. I'm 28 and I've been out of high school for 11 years. Is that right? Yeah, I graduated when I was 17, so I've been out of high school for like 11 years. And it's taken me 11 years to really understand a little bit more about myself and, kind of make sense of a lot of what I've been trying to understand about myself and about my life and just life in general, things like that. And every day is a journey, every day is part of the journey, and every day I try to grow, and every day I try to learn, and be patient with myself and not be so hard on myself, because we're all in different points on our journeys, you cannot compare yourself to another person, that only leads to, feelings of, less than, shit like that. So yeah, I just feel like I'm where I need to be right now. I feel like I'm right where I need to be right now. I've like I said, I know what I need to do. And I just gotta hang in there. And by this time next year, life's gonna be much better. It's gonna be much better. I can feel it and I know it. Life has only gotten better. I had to go through all that. I had to weather the storm, to get to this point. And it feels achievable now. When before I was just kind of floundering. But now I feel like I hesitate to even say I have the tools for success, but I feel like I have the ability to be successful, you know. So that feels good. You know, it feels good to have something to show for it. You know, that all of it wasn't for nothing. You know, all of those nights, all of that pain, all of that, you know, rumination, and all of the not knowing how things were going to pan out. You know, it feels good to know that it wasn't for naught. You know. There were definitely moments when I definitely felt like, dang, bro, like it can't get no worse than this, you know. But ultimately, bro, like it just got better, you know. It got better because I had to get better, you know. Once I decided that I wanted better, then I got better, you know. Things got better. I really had to make that decision, and it was hard, you know. And I went back on it multiple times. You know, it wasn't easy. It has not been easy. It has not been easy. But I just think that makes it that much more, you know, worth it, that much more valuable, because I'll take this, you know, let me not say this. I'll take that, you know, where I was feeling when I first came back home, I'll take that over what I was getting away from any day, you know, any day of the week, you know, twice on Sunday. But yeah, it's just something else, man. It really feels like a chapter, you know what I'm saying, the end of a chapter. And there's way more to the book. Like I said, there's way more to the book. And I just think that, you know, I don't know exactly what'll happen next in terms of, you know, music. You know, I haven't written a song since I finished my album. You know, which is weird for me. It's almost like I've been holding my tongue, you know, or holding my breath until the album dropped, for me to like allow myself to be able to like make that transition musically or sonically. But it's really not even that. It's just when I finished the album, I needed that like break. I needed that rest period. You know, I needed to be able to just kind of be like, all right, because I didn't know when I was done with the album. Like I said, I wrote like 40 freaking songs. You know, in looking back on it, you know, it might be even more difficult for me to make the deluxe than it would be what I did with the album itself, which is funny because, like I said, I still got a lot more songs to sift through and try to structure and make sense of. But it might even be easier for me just to go ahead and drop a whole nother project instead of a deluxe, because, you know, you got a 20-song album. What you gonna do? Make it 30? You know what I'm saying? Like, and plus, what I want to do, what I'm probably gonna end up doing, and what I've been thinking about, is all the people that I didn't get features. All the people I wasn't able to get features on this album, I kind of just want to do a collab thing, you know. I kind of just want to do like all the songs. These are the people that I respect. These are the people that have been there for me. These are people that I've seen grow and have seen me grow, you know. And I want to just like showcase a little bit of that, you know. And just because that's the other thing too, is like I have features, but I don't have a lot of features. I really don't, you know. Even on this album, I've only got 2 features, really, you know. And it's funny because I remember when I was after I had dropped Waves, and I was telling myself like my next project, I was like, man, I want to do more features. I need to do more features. I remember telling myself, I think it was even for 2023, I was like, I'm gonna do more features this year. And really, I didn't. You know, I really didn't do a whole lot of features for 2023. 2024, we're pretty much halfway through it, more than halfway through it. And I probably will end up doing a couple more features this year if everything works out. I'm talking about for other people. But I know for myself that I've got at least, I can name 5 people on one hand at least, you know, that I want to work with and do more with. You know, I would like to do that a lot. That would be really cool to just like have you know, I think it would make the music experience a little bit better for me, like more exciting. I get to sharpen my pen and also just kind of like create something with somebody else that has a different style and different approach, and kind of mesh that and see how it flows together. That'll be cool. You know, I would enjoy that quite a bit for sure. And it's something, like I said, I've been talking about for a minute, so I'm gonna try to bring it to fruition. But yeah, Wabi-Sabi, bro. Wabi-Sabi, Sunday, August 11th, 2024, midnight. What's up?